Am I the butthole for lashing out after my husband ruined the food I prepared for our guests? Me, female 26, and my husband, male 33, Mike, have been married for a year now. He doesn't cook. He's bad at it. His cooking is the worst despite learning from books/YouTube videos/me teaching him. It just never works. Every time he steps a foot into the kitchen, it turns into a mess. I don't know how. He doesn't know how. Maybe because he's constantly busy with work, police officer, and is used to fast food. But he's good at other things. So we've agreed that I handle cooking. He handles chores. Everything was going well. However, recently he's been getting involved in my cooking. Basically making comments about what ingredients I should not add, and I try to take it under consideration, but only if he's being reasonable. Lately he's been waiting for when I prepare dinner or lunch, then sneaks in and add extra salt/pepper/spices/other ingredients that completely ruin the meal. First it was a mystery to me. Had me questioning myself. Why I added too much salt or spices. He admitted he was the one adding extra ingredients and messing up my cooking. The meals are no longer eatable. I've told him to not try to get involved in something he doesn't have experience with. I've basically been eating out for a week now because of him. Last night we had my family visiting. I took the entire day preparing meals. He helped out by going to the grocery stores. I noticed he bought stuff from the grocery store that I wasn't allowed to see. I figure probably some snacks. As we were about to eat dinner, my mom and dad suddenly looked grossed out and said they couldn't eat because the food had so much salt in it. I was confused. I asked them to try another dish which was too spicy for them to eat. My dad had an upset stomach and he almost threw up. He has high blood pressure and salt wasn't good for him. Mike kept acting confused. My mom and dad couldn't eat anything I made. I knew Mike had something to do with it. My parents left and I felt ashamed. I asked Mike, then I blew up after he admitted he went behind my back to add ingredients that he thought were going to make my food better. I lashed out at him. Told him he ruined my work after spending hours and made my parents feel uncomfortable. Adding too much salt knowing my dad has high blood pressure. He argued that he was just trying to help. And thought that food will be better. So I shouldn't yell at him. And my parents didn't say anything, so it wasn't that bad. I told him he shouldn't have done this, but he refused to acknowledge he did anything wrong. Then went out to meet his friends for dinner. Not the butthole. He's repeatedly and dependably ruining every meal he touches. If he wants more salt, he can add it to his portion at the table. There's no universe in which he's being helpful, and how he thinks he is a mystery not to be that person. But can he taste and smell okay lately? AITA folks, we did it. It's gaslighting. It's real honest to God gaslighting. I have no idea what his problem is. He keeps saying, it's better this way. And it's better that way. It's tiring and he doesn't seem to know what he wants. Is it possible he's mentally unwell? This just seems so strange. I don't understand how to explain it if there isn't something else going on. He is purposefully ruining food. He is sneaking and doing it. He's sabotaging you. Either he's having a mental health crisis, or he's being in butthole. My money is on the latter. I thought that same thing. He knew he was going out with friends and he deliberately sabotaged the meal for her parents. Have one red flag. I think this is definitely an issue of control. He's either bad at cooking, or he pretends to be to get out of having to do it, and the sneaking around and the insisting that it's better when he graces the food with his magic touch is probably either A. Done out of feeling inadequate/outdone and needing to make his wife less confident in her own cooking skills. B. Simply a method of control, as well as a way to provoke her and convince her that she's crazy. Or both. I guess there's an unlikely C, being that he just has no self-awareness and is overconfident in his abilities, but the sneaking behind her back and adding so much that it's literally inedible and a health hazard just cannot be accidental. He tried to hide what he was doing, continued doing it after his wife asked him to stop, continued to do it even when his wife couldn't eat the food and had to order in for a week. Then he did it again to a meal for her parents, acted like he had no idea why it was so bad in front of her parents when they couldn't eat it, and then insisted that he was right and that he was making the food better, and then tried to convince original poster that her parents liked it even though they almost threw up eating it. What the F? Something else, gaslighting butthole. You nailed it, clapping hands. He just has no self-awareness and is overconfident in his abilities. When Dunning-Kruger meets the kitchen. He's a gaslighting butthole. The two options aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. Either way, original poster is not the butthole. Yes, he is. He has a personality disorder and it's common in cops. They've been married just long enough now that he's starting to feel comfortable and be more brazen, but this was always going to happen, from day one. Oh, you mean the controlling abusive butthole disorder that is common in cops? Oh, that disorder. The one that ends up with a majority of cops being abusers? That one? Yes, that one is highly contagious. Oh, you mean the domestic/interpersonal abuse/violence that is present in 40% of police? But you know this number is bigger because we're not counting the partners too frightened to report or those who, died. Original poster, not the butthole, and run, girl. That's the one. Yup. He's bad at pretending to be bad at a thing so he doesn't have to do it, then sabotaging her hard work in such a way that it's a weird form of gaslighting. Like actual gaslighting where someone is effing with you in a way that makes you doubt the reality/your perception of a situation, and after a week of doing this to her he pulled out all the stops when she directed her attention toward her parents instead of him, and once they left he went out to dinner with his friends. Jesus Christ, stop effing cops so many of them get off on power and control. We should get this on a t-shirt. Stop effing cops. Don't F the police. 40% are domestic abusers. But Ice Cube told us to. He's a control freak. He thinks he knows what's best for everyone else, even what they eat. I wonder if COVID is a bit more likely, since loss of taste and smell is a strong indicator. I thought this same thing, too. Maybe he's making it extra season Y because he can't taste it. Definitely possible, but regardless he's still a butthole. Exactly. Do it to your own food, not the entire lot. I just can't get why you wouldn't just season your own portion then. I like a little more salt and pepper than my mother, but I'll only add it to my portion. Only when cooking myself is when I add extra ingredients or spices that only I like. If he can't taste it, he can season his own portion or cook himself something. Unless he doesn't know he can't smell and taste properly? Yeah, but secretly ruining meals isn't the way to go. I was going to suggest COVID. I had it in October and lost my sense of smell and taste. Since then they have come back but are very, very weak. In any case, original poster is not the butthole and husband is controlling whether he can taste or not. Edit spelling mistake. Being a police officer would put him at a very high chance of infection given the repeated interaction with the public. This seems a very reasonable possibility to me. Op. This isn't about helping, it's about control. He's gaslighting you. He can tweak his own portion. He hides and lies to you. He makes you second-guess yourself. He endangered your folks and when confronted by their grossed-out faces knew it was his fault but acted surprised and confused. He's got deeper issues than cooking. I don't trust him, Op. Even if it's not complete gaslighting, but I think it is, because he still pretends he's trying to help instead of owning up to the fact he is consciously sabotaging her. He is sabotaging original poster consciously, he is hurting her emotionally on purpose, and he needs to be made into an X before things get worse. To me this looks like it could be an attempt to reduce the number of in-law visits, or visits from friends of yours, when he does it then, in order to isolate you, which is typical abuser behavior. Has he ever destroyed food when it was for his own friends? The fact that you even have to put that disclaimer, this sub is way too fixated on gatekeeping the definition of gaslighting. They will miss the point of a blatantly manipulative, toxic, harmful behavior and argue for 30 comments that it doesn't fit whatever exact definition of gaslighting they have in their heads. I completely agree with you. This man's behavior is scary and it is only going to be the tip of the iceberg. Messing with people's food is super effed up too. Question. Does he actually eat the food? You say it's inedible, but is he eating and enjoying it? If so, maybe he is deficient in something. If even he hates it, make him eat all the food he F's up. I swear to God there is something wrong with my mother's taste buds. She thinks table pepper is too spicy, that basil has too much punch, and can't stand the taste of tomatoes. If the husband is eating the messed up food, he might just have an odd sense of taste. If not, he's gaslighting her. I feel like he has to know what he's doing it wrong by virtue of straight up lying about it until pressed repeatedly. Those all sound kind of like normal food preferences to me. I hate tomatoes, basil does have a specific flavor, and some people just don't like any level of spice. So, unless your husband has a cognitive or mental disorder that hasn't been diagnosed, I'm going to hazard that he is actually easing into abusing you, at least mentally. The act of repeatedly, and secretly, making your meals inedible, after constantly trying to tell you how to cook, then the lengths he went to in order to sabotage the dinner for your parents was just bizarre and brazenly awful. He is taking something you do well and enjoy doing and ruining it for you. And I think he's unconsciously waiting to see how you react to it so he can find new buttons to push. I could totally be projecting, but I don't think I am. It's just too bizarre. Like the stories of wives always getting sick after eating at the Mills house. Not the butthole. Don't cops have a super high rate of domestic violence? 40%, and that's just the ones who get reported / somehow aren't protected by other cops. Please be safe and be aware. This is not normal behavior. 40% is actually the self-reported stat. I.e., in that study, 40% of cops they interviewed openly admitted to getting physical with their partner. Damn, I didn't know that figure was physical only. How much higher would it be if emotional or other kinds of abuse was included? This is scary to think about, particularly in light of the fact that US cops are trained on how to emotionally abuse people. They call it interrogation, but I think convincing or forcing people to tell you crap so you can use it against them and lock them up and ruin their lives qualifies as emotional abuse if you think about it. Not even that. 40% of cops were openly willing to go on the record that they commit domestic violence. Now think of all the ones who just wouldn't admit it. Indeed they do, and those are just the ones who admit to getting physical with a partner. Not terribly shocking, given the number of cops who get off on terrorizing people. Yeah, sounds he's getting a perverse kick out of this. Scary stuff. Mike kept acting confused. He argued that he was just trying to help. And thought that food will be better. So I shouldn't yell at him. And my parents didn't say anything, so it wasn't that bad. He refused to acknowledge he did anything wrong. Then went out to meet his friends for dinner. So first he denied it, then downplayed it as trying to help, then claimed it wasn't a big deal because the parents were polite, refused to admit fault, and finally left original poster alone to eat dinner without her. The fact that his apology is a near textbook example of the narcissist's prayer is very concerning. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Love the part where he fixes the meal she lovingly made and then doesn't want to eat it. If the extra salt and spices improve the meal, hubby can eat that disgusting crap till it's all gone. Except he won't, because he knows he's intentionally sabotaging ops food. Yeah, this is concerning behavior. Hopefully original poster keeps us updated. Not the butthole. Mike either has a medical condition or he's just controlling. I mean, 40% of cops self-reported abusing their wives, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's testing the waters. Wait, 40% of all cops self-reported abusing their wives? Or 40% of those who were abusive self-reported? If I remember the study correctly, it's the former. Wait, so at least 40% of cops are wife beaters? Wait till you hear about the statistics from military families. The study asked the group of officers, both male and female, if they have ever been violent toward their partner. 40% of them said yes, which means the real number is definitely higher. I read the article and it was referencing 1990 study, and it was even just said it is likely 40% of them. They didn't actually do the survey or something, lol. I hate this kind of wrong referencing since it makes false information believable. If you are referring to this article, it says they actually did conduct the survey. They surveyed both the officer and their partners separately for verification and came up with very similar results from both sets of data. Web link. However, The code of silence for victims of AITA is unique. It is a code of silence where not only police officers, but prosecutors and domestic violence victim advocates also sometimes refrain from coming to the aid of the victims. It has even been reported that domestic violence victim advocates sometimes choose to ignore AITA complaints so as not to alienate the police agencies they rely upon for assistance in other domestic abuse cases. Prosecutors can also become less diligent in pursuing AITA complaints because they too need these same police officers for help in other cases. Web link. I feel like he wanted to put a wedge through original poster and her parents and make her feel crafty and ashamed. I honestly can't see it from any other point of view but him having malicious intentions. Also make sure they don't come over for dinner. He's definitely trying to drive her associates away, so she's dependent on him. Be wary, as has been mentioned, this is how abuse begins. This 100%. This isn't normal behavior. Exactly this. As someone that has high blood pressure and a heart condition, eating something loaded with salt could have bad effects on me. So for her husband to load up the dish with salt knowing her father has health issues is beyond an move. Original poster needs to have a serious conversation with hubby and find out why he continues to sabotage her cooking. Is he really wants to gain an interest in cooking and wants to be a part of it? If so, give him one night a week to let him cook the meal for the both of you. Or is it he's just being a butthole? I think probably just controlling. He has to have his say in everything. Also, happy cake day, twin. NTA, but like other commenters have mentioned, you should probably test his senses. Try opening up a container of epoxy around him and you'll be able to test it pretty easily. Now if it isn't his sense of taste, then ask him that he'll eat every bite of every meal he ruins until he stops. Your last comment about him going out for dinner with his friends worries me though. Are you sure he didn't sabotage dinner on purpose so your parents would go home early and he could go out? No, he didn't mention wanting to go out earlier. He said it after he called his friend and then left. Can still be premeditated. Is your husband eating this food that you've cooked and he's ruined? If not, why isn't he eating the meals that he's perfected? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.